Well, Justin.
Good morning. It is May 22nd here in the House Transportation Committee. Today we're trying to wrap up our committee at conference. Hopefully that can be done here, in the next couple of days, if not early next week. But one of the items in the that the Senate put in their version of the transportation bill had to do with Carfax. Section 56 of the T-bill, and sort of get us up to speed here. We're going to have the lobbyist, Justin Johnson, give testimony and his thoughts on Section 56.
Hey, well, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to the committee this morning. Justin Johnson from MMR representing Carfax, just for the record. This Section 56, it's a study that was put in by the Senate fairly late in the process. They didn't take a lot of testimony on it, but it came up because of a constituent complaint to one of the senators about they bought a car and the car had an issue. And then later on, they found out that the car had had a similar issue earlier in its life, but it didn't show up in I'm not sure whether it was Carfax or one of the other ones they'd looked at. And, they had raised the issue about, well, what's in these reports and get more information? Should dealers be required to report, that sort of thing? And so they decided to have to do a study committee. We did not testify. We didn't get the opportunity to testify in the Senate. We are generally fine with having a study. We're open to it. I mean, Carfax lives and dies on information. The more we have, the better the reports can be. We have no issue with that. The one thing tweak that we would want to make to the language that's in there is that we would like to add in Section A, just to say that as part of the examination, the Commissioner of Motor Vehicles and any consulting party should not gather or request the disclosure of information constituting a trade secret under 9 VSA 4601. So we're not asking to change what constitutes a trade secret. We just want to clarify that the study isn't going to try and make us hand over things that are confidential. It's a very competitive business. We have a lot of arrangements about how we collect information. We don't make any of the information. We only compile it and make it available to people. The one thing I would say about that is we do. It's stated very clear on the reports and on our website that, this is the information we have. We recommend anyone buying a car uses our report as one piece of the information making that decision. Look at the car, drive the car, see if you like the car, look at our report, get a mechanic to look at the car on your behalf is always a good idea. But you shouldn't just rely on the Carfax report or any others. There's a few others. There's Auto Check, there's Car Vertical, there's a bunch of them here and in other parts of the world.
So the gist of it is they're trying to get a liability, hold somebody's feet to the fire, sounds like.
Right.
Is the intent behind it?
Yes, I think they're trying to say, well, these reports have to be more complete, but there's a lot that goes into that because, if you do your own work on your own car at home, do you report that to someone? What happens, some dealerships report, some independent shops might report, depends what it is. Carfax is more than happy to have that conversation with anyone, anytime. We don't actually need a statute to tell us to do it. We're open to the conversation anytime. What we don't want to do is get into a situation where we're saying we're not going to give you information because it's confidential. We don't want the DMV to ask us for things we can't give them and then create a sort of problem there. And we just thought this clarification would just help everyone in that case. I think, it's the information that we have sort of varies a little bit. Like obviously there's buying and selling information that's pretty standard and consistent, comes from the DMV. Title information, we will have information on if someone gets a salvage title on a VIN number and the car has that VIN number, that'll show up in the report. But service information, what parts were changed out, whether it was, accident information, some of that gets reported and some of it doesn't. We don't, we'd love it all to get reported. I mean, we would, from a business perspective, the more comprehensive our reports are, the more useful they are to the people who are getting them from us, the better off everyone is. But, then there's just a lot to unpack in that in a conversation around, who has to report, when they have to report, what happens if they don't report, where the liability goes, who's responsible if there's a report that's not correct. And, so there's just lots to talk about there, which the Senate didn't really get into. And so that's why we're requesting this little.
Representative Patch.
Yeah, thanks for helping us understand it. I don't think I've ever bought a Carfax, but certainly I've seen some. So I have some familiarity with it. And you're saying if I was to buy one, there's some language at the end, like if you buy anything that sort of says, this is the best information we have, but there's no guarantee that it includes.
Right. I mean, a Carfax report only includes what was reported to us. We don't go out and sort of
Solicit.
and track all these. We do have contracts with some people to provide information, including the DMV, but ultimately, if a dealership or an independent shop does work on a car, we have no way to know that unless they actually report it. And similarly, if you do work on your own car, there is a mechanism for someone to report their own work. Like they can go in and say, I did an oil change, I did this, I did that. But we don't, we can only report what we have. And so I think this was the issue that came up, was the person felt that there was something that had been done to the car that wasn't reported. But, I think we would caveat the report by saying this is one piece of information. You should also obviously, if you have any concern, have the car checked by a mechanic. I mean, the dealership might say the car's pristine, or we did a full service on the car. You may still want to get someone who's working for you to have a look
I just
at.
want to follow up on a couple more questions. So you're looking to add to the language that you Carfax and anybody else doesn't want to disclose proprietary information.
Right.
I mean, would you think that you're already protected and you're just looking to add this to be like double sure?
Yes, I think it's mostly, we just want to make it clear that there is proprietary information. We're not changing the definition of that. It's just that it's already covered.
It's already there.
It's already there. But we just don't want to, we would like to avoid a situation where someone, whether it's DMV or someone else, asks for information that we can't give them. And they say, what's going on here? This just clarifies it. Yes.
So now, and then Carfax really is getting information on publicly available information from DMV's information on VIN numbers, which are legal. There are legal requirements to report certain things.
There are, like titles and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Obviously, they get reported. I'm not sure that there's a legal requirement for a shop to provide information, but we do have.
I would think you would know that, but I would assume there's no legal requirement.
But we do have.
For
When you get a Carfax report, it'll list ownership changes. It'll list inspection when the car got inspected. If the dealer or the independent shop is reporting it, it'll list service. Like it'll say on this date it came in for its 38,000 mile service off.
But I would guess if I brought my car in for a 38,000 mile at the dealer, they're not required to report that.
Right.
Yeah, so, okay, and so you're getting as much public information as possible and putting it out there. And
And the idea of the report is to not be a complete and comprehensive list of everything that was ever done to a car. It's just to give the potential buyer or the owner just something that says this is, you know, a list of the things that have been reported on what's happened in this town.
Representative Case.
So now this person that apparently got a Carfax, there was a problem there and they were trying to look into basically make you guys liable.
Well,
Because you didn't have, I mean,
right, so,
you only get the information that you get, but they were looking for more information and.
right, I think they felt that there should have been more information, like somewhere along the line, someone should have been required to do it.
Right.
And I, you know, I don't want to get into that. I mean, I think that's the whole point of the study is to look at that sort of thing. But my understanding is they had a power steering issue in the vehicle and then found out later through some, I'm not sure exactly how, that it had a previous power steering issue,
Yeah,
and felt that that should have been reported. I don't know,
by
that
Carfax.
by somebody, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if someone had put in if we had got service information and said that that had happened, it will likely would have been on the report, but obviously it wasn't there, so it was never reported to anyone.
matters, I have no problem with
Yeah, so
your language.
as I said, we just really want to just highlight the fact that this is a very sort of competitive business, and we're happy to sit down and talk to anyone and talk about how it could be done better. We just want to recognise that there is some confidential information and a lot of business arrangements in the background. So that's it.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
One more question. Did you have language that you
I
had?
do. I can send it electronically, or I have a hard copy, right?
I would send it electronically to our,
Okay, I'll do that in a few minutes.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to share, this was from Secretary of Transportation Joe Flynn and Sarah Clark, Secretary of Administration, did weigh in on this section, and it starts out with, finally, we have concerns with provision section 56, legislative report and third-party Carfax and other vehicle history reports. This section charges the agency with a consumer protection function for which it has no data, expertise, or authority. Yes, to remove this provision and seek relevant testimony with recommendations from the Attorney General's Office on Consumer Protection, Industry, and Economic Development. This is critical to ensure that the bill keeps us focused on the core mission and moves us to a more stable and sustainable model. So,
I'll just add that if the section came out altogether, we would be totally fine with that. We don't actually think it's necessary. We would be perfectly happy to have the conversation with anyone without being told to.
thank you. Yeah.
Again, it's a miscarriage of justice because it's only representing one person.
So,
I don't like legislation that addresses one person's issue.
so committee discussion, you're, okay.
Thank you.
Any, I mean, thoughts, directions that you could give me and Phil and Matt, Representative Candace?
I think Representative Keiser brings up a good point, and whether you all have time to talk to the Secretary of Attorney General, because it does seem like they really deal with consumer protection, and I had a recent incident where they were incredibly effective in helping with the consumer protection issue that everybody else had tried to pass the buck on. So it does sound like you might want to talk to them.
I mean, it seems like if Carfax didn't give you the information you wanted, you should have used somebody else. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no guarantee you're gonna get everything. I think it could be helpful if you want to check, make sure it isn't a car that was flooded in
Yeah.
Florida, hurricane. But I don't know how you would
I use that.
get all the information, and you can't compel everybody to provide the information. And I'm guessing the states.
You just trust, and you gotta have other ways of deciding whether you're gonna buy a car.
Yep. There's a personal experience. I got my summer car out and I had a Carfax on it when I bought it last year. and I just replaced the battery. I didn't put that in the fact that I replaced the battery and that thing, because I did it. I replaced the battery. So to hold a data gathering company liable for information they couldn't have had
Right.
is miscarriage.
I mean, I do think that it's Carfax are used for, as Phil said, like, did the car get flooded? Did it have to get a transmission replaced? Like some major
Fender benders.
piece of work done to the car, which kind of signals might be something else you want to look into.
I'm not feeling love for this one, so
I
we
never
should hold
even
fire.
heard, I never even heard of Carfax.
I didn't know you could
That's
tax a
right.
car on the
All right, so we'll take that out, or at least try to. So, all right.
Yeah.